Let's start with BS Unit 6. What are we covering in this unit? In this unit, we'll talk about government economic objectives and policies. So, government has to deal with lot of things like unemployment, inflation, okay. There are people who are from backward areas. So, they have to raise their standard of living. Then, even about inflation, that is value of money is going down. So, how to keep it constant. Then GDP, that is gross domestic product of a country, how to increase it. So all these things, what are the government objectives? Is it profit or is it social motive? And how does government make all combine all things and make it happen? So we are talking about this in the unit. Then environmental issues. See, there is lot of noise pollution, water pollution, air pollution. How to deal with that, because production is important for growth of any country, and when there is production process, it involves pollution. So how to keep the scarce resources safe, also produce goods and services for the society also, and same time be eco-friendly also. This is what we are going to study. And then international economy, that is we are talking about the whole world. We'll be talking about imports, exports, balance of payments. So how to deal with all this, we'll be addressing these problems in this unit. We are doing unit 6 BS for class 9th and 10th. First topic, recession. What do you mean by recession? A phase in the country or even all over the world when your gross domestic product is going down. So first keyword is reduction in GDP. Give the full form, gross domestic product. Whatever country is producing in one accounting year, the final value of those goods and services, okay, the total amount which you are producing in a country, gross domestic product, is going down. Fall in output over time. So keyword is fall in output over time. Over the time the output has fallen. Effect on consumers during recession. So they can ask you, what is the effect of consumers during recession? So what do you mean by recession is for 2 marks, and effect on consumers during recession is for 2 marks. Loss of income or lower income, because there will be no jobs. So if people are jobless, their income will come down. Loss of jobs, fall in living standards, and so less spending. People will have less confidence, they will spend less, there will be loss of jobs, and there will be loss of income. What will happen in a country if interest rate falls? Interest rate गिर रही है तो उस country में क्या होगा? See, to learn this, if this is the bank, ये bank है, so somebody who has extra money will come and put it in the bank, and somebody who needs money to do business will withdraw this from the bank. Okay, so now interest rate falls, तो जो इंसान बैंक में पैसे रख रहा है उसको कम इंटरेस्ट पे ब्याज मिलेगा, दैट इज कम इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा, सो उसकी सेविंग्स कम होगी. एंड द पर्सन हु इज बोरोइंग मनी, इट विल बी चीपर फॉर दैट पर्सन, बिकॉज फॉर एग्जाम्पल पहले 6% था, अभी 4% ही है. इंटरेस्ट रेट हैज फॉलन. So if he takes 1 lakh as loan, at the end of the year, how much he needs to pay as interest? Only 4,000. Earlier he was paying 6,000. So when interest rate falls, cost of borrowing is reduced. Cost of borrowing reduce हो गई. Keyword, cost of borrowing is reduced. People will borrow more from banks as taking loans is now cheaper. जब सस्ता होता है लोन लेना तो डर नहीं लगता कि ठीक है 4,000 ही तो इंटरेस्ट देना है ना साल के एंड में, दे देंगे. Consumers will spend more and sales will rise. Sales will rise, consumer will spend more. People who deposit money in banks on fixed term will get low interest and their savings will fall. those who have extra money will deposit in bank. Now they will get interest at 4% only. So the people who are depositing money in bank getting interest, their savings will fall. Entrepreneurs will borrow more to invest in business. BS class 9th and 10th. How can employees be protected at work by government laws? क्या laws बनाए जाएं कि employees protect हो at work? Law regarding maximum hours, like you can't make them slog them work for long hours. There are laws which government make for maximum hours. Example, any law that limits the number of employee hours each week to protect a worker from tiredness. So once you put the knowledge point, you have to put the analysis and explanation point also. Number of employee hours each week to protect a worker from tiredness. Example, 48 hours per week. इससे ज़्यादा है तो फिर overtime दो उसको. After that, overtime should be paid. First point is this. Second point you can cover on laws protecting from unfair dismissal, that some notice should be provided before dismissing an employee. He should be given ample time to find new job. Okay. Wage protection, that is the wages should be given timely and on a regular basis. Protection against exploitation and discrimination, that is generally we see gender discrimination, that male are paid more than female. So laws against protecting discrimination among the employees on these various bases. Unit 6 BS class 9th and 10th. Government is building roads. Okay, so there can be a case study where government is building roads and they are looking for benefits and costs related to it. Okay, so how do you explain? So once government is building roads, it will open up new market, improving availability of goods. So to producers it is good, to manufacturers it is good. For their product there are new market. Okay, their sales will increase because now their products are finding new markets. And for consumers it is good that now they have availability of improved goods. They have the choice, they can make a choice, they can choose whatever the product they want, they can choose out of it. Roads are built, cutting distribution costs. One product is produced, if there are no roads, you will take it by some other means. So if roads, it is convenient way, so distribution costs will come down. Say for example, now you are not sending goods through airways, so your distribution cost will come down because now you have roads available. So keyword is cutting distribution cost. It is convenient to load goods in the trucks and carry to all parts of country connected with roads. This is the explanation part. Producers' goods will be sold on fast pace. Now you have more consumers for your goods, so your goods will be sold on fast pace. You can again start producing because the old goods are already sold. Jobs in construction related business will increase because people are constructing roads, they are getting jobs. Employees can travel to sites where needed. So now even we can make the employees travel because the site, wherever they are needed, you can just take them to the sites because it is convenient for them to travel because of roads. Now social costs, visual pollution, lot of noise pollution where roads are being constructed, environmental impact, that obviously it creates noise pollution, then air pollution, loss of homes along the route. If the route is there, lot of homes will be there on the route, so they have to evacuate those homes and find other homes. So loss of homes along the route. What do you mean by financial benefit? Financial benefit क्या होता है? It is the profit business makes. See, every business is running to earn profit. So benefit है और financial है. Financial means related to money and benefit is in form of profit. So it is the profit business makes. Monetary benefit, that is in terms of money. monetary benefit internal to the business, that is what business earns internally. It does work and earns internally is known as monetary benefit. Okay. Unit 6 BS class 9 and 10. If they are asking about producing in foreign country, what factors will you consider while producing in a foreign country? Those countries' government rules. सबसे पहले, are those rules friendly with the people who are coming to your country and producing? So government rules is the key word. Are they friendly for foreign producers? What are the financial incentives to produce in the foreign country? When you are going to some foreign country, for example, you are going for mining in a foreign country, so you will be looking for some financial incentives. Otherwise, you will prefer to do business in your home country only. But you are establishing a factory in foreign country. That means you are looking for some financial incentives to produce in foreign country. Is getting the approval of production tedious or is it easy? You have to get approval of production from the foreign government. So is it getting approval, is it fine or tedious? Okay, the first point. Second point, availability of suitable workforce without people, that is without human resource. You can't do any production. So suitable workforce, is that workforce available in that country? Skilled workers suitable to our production process should be available in the country. Is production possible at low cost? Then you might also move to a country where the labor is available at low cost. So again, the keyword is low cost by paying low wages. Third point, see children, whatever I have marked is keywords and you need to remember it while attempting the question. Transportation cost. Transportation cost, yes, low. Factory near to market, easy to take raw material in the factory and finished goods to marketplace. See, transportation is dependent on infrastructure. Transportation is dependent on infrastructure. So factory near to market, easy to take raw material in the factory and finished goods to market. Unit 6 Inflation BS class 9th and 10th. So inflation is an important topic. You should understand what it is. Increase in average price level. Keyword. Please focus on keywords. Increase in average price level of goods and services over the time. So what is happening is price is increasing and value of money is decreasing. That is inflation. Effects on workers. Now they can ask, what do you mean by inflation? Effects on workers and effects on producers in a certain case study. So effects on workers. Workers' wages will not buy as many goods as before because the purchasing power of money has reduced. Their real income, again comes the keyword, their real income falls and standard of living also falls. See, I am trying to explain you what do you mean by real income. If your income has increased or risen by 6%, but price of the goods and commodities has increased by 10%. So your real income will fall by the gap 4%. Real income falls by 4%. Although आपकी wages बढ़ाई गई है as a worker 6% से, but prices बढ़ गई 10% से, तो 4% से आपकी real income गिर गई है. You won't be able to buy as many goods and services as you were buying before. Effect on it will be workers will demand higher wages. So to keep buying those goods and services which they were buying before, they will demand for higher wages. Now we try to learn effect on producers. Price of goods produced in the home country will be higher than those of foreign countries because मुझे इनपुट ही महंगा मिल रहा है, लाइक रॉ मटेरियल, लेबर, okay, whatever is the direct overheads, that is only expensive to me. So how can I sell at a lower rate? My output will also be expensive. So foreign countries के मुकाबले मैं जो produce कर रही हूँ और बेच रही हूँ वो expensive है. People may buy foreign goods, they may shift to foreign goods, they may buy foreign goods because home country का product expensive है due to inflation. Producers will not get raw material and labor at low cost. Price of output will have to be kept high to earn reasonable profits. Home country producers will face high competition. So these are the drawbacks of inflation. Actually, what the producers and the workers will face, an important topic, you need to cover the key points. Now we are learning very important topic, business cycle, also referred as trade cycle. On x-axis you have years, y-axis you have gross domestic product, GDP. Okay, so it goes like this, growth, then once it reaches the topmost point it is boom, then it goes down, so it is recession, goes to the lowest point, then it is slump, it recovers again, so it is known as recovery, or some people also term it as growth, and again boom. So growth, boom, recession, slump, recovery and boom. So the keywords which you have to use in case study are, as far as growth is concerned, growth, your GDP is rising, very important, GDP is rising, unemployment is falling because people are trying to produce more things and so people are getting employment. So unemployment is falling and high living standards. Now at the time of boom, that is for this cycle it is the peak. So boom, too much spending. Even if the producers are charging high prices, people are buying. High prices, significant sales growth, yani sales is significantly improving and is at its high, and increased commercial activity, lot of commercial activities like sales, then transportation, all the other activities related to sales are increasing. Significant GDP growth, so increased commercial activity, GDP growth, sales growth, high prices, these are all keywords you need to put it in your case study. Recession, GDP actually falls. Now the recession, GDP is falling. Decline in economic activity going down. Drop in spending because you are not earning that much, so drop in spending. Negative economic growth goes down, so negative economic growth. Now slump is the serious and long drawn out recession. When recession remains for many months at a stretch, it is the lowest point here, that is the slump. Unemployment reaches very high level, people are not producing, so how will they give employment to others? Many business fail to survive in this period because it is a slump. So many months, how will you give the people salary? How will you buy resources to produce? So business fail here. After slump, there is again recovery and time comes of boom. This is your business cycle. Okay, if you face a problem like, do you think government should give financial support to private sector business to survive recession? During the time of recession, should government support private sector? So the answer is yes. How will you support your answer? To maintain jobs, because what is the backbone of any nation? The skilled worker. Any industry runs primarily because of resources and its skilled worker. So skilled workers are important for an economy to survive. So use keywords, skilled workers for an economy to survive. If any industry has to be protected, its key workers has to remain in the job even at the time of recession. So even at the time of recession, those skilled workers should not remain jobless. Second, key industries have to be protected. What can be the key industries of a nation? Iron and steel, cement, electricity. If they are produced by private sector, they need to be protected. Generally, some of them are produced in private sector, some in public. But in case a private sector is indulge into producing these, they need to be protected. Important products and their supplies need to be supported during recession. Some industries generate export revenue. For example, in India, tea and spice manufacturing exports revenue, generates revenue. They need to be protected. Tea and spice manufacturing units in India need to be protected. So, at the time of recession, some sectors in India or for any other country, some sectors, government will come forward and protect the private sector business so that they survive during recession. There can be a case study on, do you agree with this? Government aim to attract multinational companies into their countries. Why? So you have to write if you agree why, if you don't agree why. So once we'll start with if you agree. If you don't agree, we will continue in the next slide. Multinational creates jobs. Keywords. If the company is coming to operate in the home country, the local people will be getting jobs. Multinationals create jobs. They help develop skill and expertise of local people. They help develop skill and expertise of local people. They invest money in training local workforce. The local workforce is trained. See, a trained worker is very big asset for the organization. You can write this. Trained workforce is an asset to the organization. Okay, very important. So jobs created reduces unemployment. When the multinational will come in home country, create jobs, make people skilled, there will be less unemployment. So this is all, once you put knowledge point, analysis application point has to come in. So jobs created reduces unemployment. Taxes are paid by multinational. Now this was the first point. Second point, multinational pay taxes. The taxes which are earned by the home country's government, they can be used in several ways. That increases government funds or government revenue. Multinational will come and operate in home country, that will increase taxes and government funds, which they can use to build country's infrastructure or meet needs of the poor. The government will make good utilization of that money which is received. Multinationals get new technology and ideas in the home country, which the home country can use in its own development further. Now we'll also talk about negative points in the next slide. Aim to attract multinational companies in their countries. First, we have given the answer in positive, why government should attract. Now in this slide, we will give the answer in negative. If it is of more marks, say 8 marks, 12 marks, then you have to give points in positive, points in negative, and finally your conclusion. Okay. So if multinational firms come in home country, locals may be forced out of business because they will be big players. They will achieve economies of scale. They have large amount of capital to support. They have skilled people to support. They have technology to support. How will the local small firms face competition with them? So the local firms may be forced out of the business because it is, after all, survival of the fittest. Multinationals have low cost and are more efficient than local business. So multinationals have low cost because they are producing or they are doing a work at a very large scale, achieving economies of scale. So they have low cost and are more efficient. Keywords, they are more efficient than the local business, low cost. Please understand the keywords. Profits earned are not kept in the country where they are earned. Very, very important points. They will take the profit back to their country. Okay. So profits might be earned. Work might be done in your country. It is done in your country. But it will be taken back. Often sent back to their own respective countries. So in true sense, economy of the other country is boosting by exploiting scarce and non-renewable primary resources of the host country, that is your country in which the work is being done. So the natural resources or the scarce resources or non-renewable primary resources are being exploited of the other countries. They might give you jobs, they might give some benefit to the government in form of tax, but then they are taking away all the profits, they are exploiting your country's resources, and so now you have to give your conclusion. It also depends on the case study. For what they have come in your country, there must be some points either for production or for mining or some IT sector related company. On that basis, you have to give your final conclusion. What is balance of payment? So first understand there might be two countries, example India and US. Okay, so one is trading in rupee, the other is trading in dollar. So India might export few goods like tea, sugar, etc. and US are importing that from us. US may export technology to us, that is we are importing technology. So we are doing trade between the countries. What we send out is export, what we get within our country from abroad is import. The difference between countries, export and import, is called balance of payment. Export and import is keyword. Value of import यानी कि हमने जो हमारी कंट्री में मंगाया है, वैल्यू ऑफ इंपोर्ट व्हेन इज ग्रेटर देन वैल्यू ऑफ एक्सपोर्ट, तब उस ये सिचुएशन अच्छी नहीं है, उसको क्या बोलते हैं, डेफिसिट बोलते हैं. रन आउट ऑफ फॉरेन करेंसीज, रिजल्ट क्या होगा इसका, वी विल रन आउट ऑफ फॉरेन करेंसीज and we will have to borrow from abroad. So a country should take care कि उसका import greater नहीं हो जाए export से, नहीं तो वो deficit होगा. We will run out of foreign currencies and we will have to borrow from abroad. The exchange rate will fall as a result of deficit. मतलब क्या, depreciate हो गई हमारी currency. This is called exchange rate depreciation. Again keyword, exchange rate depreciation due to deficit. Home country currency will now buy less abroad, and if the value of export is greater than value of import, it is called as surplus, which is good for our country. We understood that what are government objectives. एक कंट्री में गवर्नमेंट के ऑब्जेक्टिव्स, कोई भी कंट्री की गवर्नमेंट हो, उसके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स होते क्या हैं. सबसे पहले लो इन्फ्लेशन, बिकॉज इन्फ्लेशन इज नॉट गुड फॉर द कंट्री. इन्फ्लेशन क्या होता है, वी हैव डिस्कस्ड इन अर्लियर स्लाइड्स. इफ यू डोंट रिमेंबर, गो बैक एंड सी दो स्लाइड्स अगेन. लो इन्फ्लेशन, favorable balance of payment, that is your country's exports should be greater than your country's imports, so that you have enough foreign currency to pay for your imports. Low unemployment, because unemployment is not good. People, when they will have work, they can pay for their food, clothing, shelter. Okay, so low unemployment. And economic growth, that is rise in living standard of people, rise in GDP, that is gross domestic product. So these are the objectives which any government will try to achieve. So they form various government economic policies and try to achieve these objectives. So what are the three major policies? Fiscal policy, policy number 1, that is taxes and government spending. So government का revenue कहाँ से आएगा? From various projects वेरियस सेक्टर्स जिसमें से टैक्सेस सबसे बड़ा है. टैक्सेस से गवर्नमेंट मेजरली कमाती है. ओके, एंड देन गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड करती है. गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड किस पे करेगी? ट्रांसपोर्टेशन, कम्युनिकेशन, स्कूलिंग, हाउसिंग, सैनिटेशन, ये सब चीज पे गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड करती है. देन इज मॉनेटरी पॉलिसीज रिलेटेड टू इंटरेस्ट रेट्स. देन सप्लाई साइड पॉलिसी. सो फॉर नाउ गवर्नमेंट के 4 ऑब्जेक्टिव्स यू शुड नो. गवर्नमेंट के पॉलिसीज के नेम you should know and what does they relate to. So in next slide we'll discuss fiscal policies which is related to taxes and government spending. Government economic policies, under it we are discussing fiscal policies. Okay, you know by now that fiscal policies relate to taxes and government spending. So we'll discuss about taxes here. Taxes, that is government takes taxes from you. One point to remember, janta se, that is from the people, government will take tax and give subsidy. What is subsidy? A benefit which government is giving to producers because you are producing something which is good for the society. For example, you are producing solar power, so government will give you subsidy, that is incentive to produce, and government will take taxes on your production or on your income. Government tax leti hai, kaise? We will see. So taxes can be of 2 types: direct tax, indirect tax. What do you mean by direct tax? Tax on income of business and individual. On income of business and individuals. That is, if you are earning more, you are paying higher tax. If your earning is low, you are paying nil tax or less tax. So 2 examples you need to learn of direct tax. Income tax, corporation tax. Corporation tax, tax on companies is known as corporation tax. क्योंकि यहाँ पढ़ा ना, business पे जो tax है वो corporation tax. Now we come up to indirect tax. Tax on goods and services. Example, tax on food. So if you buy that food item, for example a biscuit packet, if you buy that food item, then you have to pay that tax. If you are not buying that particular item, don't pay tax on that good. Okay, such tax makes products more expensive to consumers. So remember, 2 types of taxes, direct and indirect. Direct is on income of business and individual. Indirect is on goods and services. We are discussing about fiscal policies and taxes. Let's understand what is disposable income. So, for example, your income is 100 and government takes tax as 30%. So 30 will go in tax. Your earning is 100, 30 is gone in tax. So 100 minus 30. What is left with you after paying tax is 70. 70 you can spend as you want. So that is your disposable income. Level of income a taxpayer has after paying income tax. That is 30% income tax diya. This is your income, but after paying income tax, what is left with you is your disposable income. Level of income a taxpayer has after paying income tax is known as disposable income. Okay, one more thing we'll understand. Profits tax or corporation tax. Tax on profit made by business, usually companies, is known as corporation tax or profit tax. How it goes? Profit, for example, is 100 of a company. Tax can face a question like, what can government do to reduce import of unnecessary or luxury goods? See, when we need to import, for example, like a country in India, we will import technology, we will import crude oil because that is necessary for industries within India. So if you are importing something like a sports car or a luxury diamond necklace, what can government do to reduce those imports? So they can impose import tariff. Matlab, what do you mean by import tariff? That is, you are imposing tax on import of goods. That is, importing is from outside the country, you are getting goods in within the country. So impose import tariff and quotas. So what is import tariff? Tax on an imported product. If you import something, you have to pay tax to the government. That is import tariff. And what are quotas? Limit to quantity of product that can be imported. आप इतना ही product country में ला सकते हैं, उससे ज़्यादा नहीं ला सकते. There is a limit to the quantity of product that can be imported. Why is it done? To protect certain countries, protect certain industries in the country. You have to protect certain industries in the country because they are also producing. If everything is imported, who will buy the goods produced by industries within the country? So quotas are also imposed to protect the industries in the home country. Import tariff increases government revenue. If the government is imposing tax, उनका revenue बढ़ रहा है. If raw material are imported, cost of production will rise due to import tariff. For example, a company in India is making shirts and importing cloth. So cloth when imported will come within the country with import tariff. So the cost of raw material increases. So cost of final goods also increases. High tariff on luxury goods like sports car, diamond necklace. So even if you import, you are at least paying tax or import tariff to the government. We are learning about government spending. When government earns, where does it spend its money? So first is education. Through education, we are making the next generation ready. Okay? Defense. Law and order. Maintaining law and order is very important in a country. Then health, that is opening hospitals, various facilities, checkups, okay, at low rates for people. So education, defense, law and order, health and transport. See, if the country is not properly connected with the outside world or within the states, infrastructure has to be very good. Okay, then only business can happen. There should be good connectivity. That good connectivity will bring economic growth in the country. Economic growth and high GDP because of the country being properly connected through good transportation systems. That is, a country should have good roads. So the money will be used in building roads, bridges, railways, dams, etc. And over and above, also good communication systems should be there. So this is the place where government spends its money. We are learning about monetary policy. What is monetary policy? Change in interest rate by the government. When government changes the interest rate with the help of central bank of that country. So cost of borrowing money. What do you mean by interest rate? You should know the meaning of interest rate. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. Interest is the cost of borrowing money. In case of high interest rate, what will happen to a business? In case of high interest rate, for example, the interest rate is 10%. Okay, so if you deposit 100, 10% is the interest, and at the end 110 will be received by you. If you withdraw 100, you have to, at the end of the year, you have to pay 110. So business has to pay more interest if the interest rate is high, business will have to pay more interest, resulting in reduction of its profit. Because out of the profit, first you will pay interest, and then whatever is left will be retained earnings or dividend. So when profit reduces, lower profit means low dividend and low retained earnings. So due to high interest, your profit decreases. When your profit decreases, there will be low dividend, low retained earnings by the company. What is dividend? The part of profit that companies distribute to the shareholders. Okay, so they will get less dividend, and a company which has retained the profit, that retained earning will also go low. Business may reduce output because the interest of rate is high. They cannot buy that much input, so they will reduce output. Make workers redundant, that is, they are no longer required to the business because interest rate is high, so output may also reduce and workers may be also turned to be redundant. Exchange rate appreciation, that is, exchange rate rises. Now your country is paying high interest rate, so the foreign banks or the foreign business will be tempted to keep money in your country, so they will demand your country's currency. So demand for your country currency rises, and so exchange rate appreciation, you can see, that is, exchange rate rises for your country. Now effect on consumer. Consumer income part used to pay interest. If they are earning 100, 10 goes to pay interest, they are left with 90 only. So they will demand their demand will go down. So low demand for goods and services. See, these are all the application and analysis point you need to cover. So low demand for goods and services because interest has increased, income has decreased. Low demand of goods and services by the consumer because their spending capacity reduces. So this is how you answer. Learning about supply side policies. These policies try to improve the efficient supply of goods and services. Try to improve the efficient supply of goods and services means focus is on the producer. We are trying to supply more goods and services, and that too effectively and efficiently. Aim is to let business expand, produce more and employ more workers. That is, when the business will expand, that is, produce on large scale, economies of scales will be achieved. They will produce more and more people will get job, that is, employ more workers. How can you achieve supply side policies? How can you achieve a good supply side policy? Through privatization. First point, use profit motive to improve business efficiency, because private sector, the aim is profit. So they, for profit they are working and they are more efficient, so they increase the efficiency and try always to improve themselves every day. So improve training and education. Skilled workers is an asset to any organization. So you train your staff, that is, increase the skill of your workers so that they become more efficient. For example, computer or soft skills staff. Okay, so they are highly trained people who make softwares. So increase competition in all industries, that is, whatever sector, whatever industries, increase competition. So how will you increase competition? Reduce government control and act against monopolies. So if supply side policy is asked, you have to cover these with the key points. What will the effects on a business if interest rates cut down? Means interest rate goes lower. Interest rate cut means now there is low cost of borrowing money. See, if the interest rate was earlier 10%, now it has cut down and become 6%. So cost of borrowing has decreases. If you had borrowed 100, at the end of the year, if it was 10, you had to pay back 110. Now you have to pay only 106. So there is a saving of 4. So if interest rate is cut down, it is easy to borrow loans and borrowing cost comes down. Existing loans could become cheaper. Loans could become cheaper because the cost of borrowing is going down. This will encourage business to expand. Now, the loan can be taken at low interest rates. So, that much risk can be taken. It is not a high risk. So, people in business will think of expanding. They will try to take loans and expand their business because it has become cheaper to borrow. So, business will think to expand. There will be increase in demand. Okay, there will be increase in demand because interest rates are cut down. To borrow is cheaper, so people will start demanding also. What do you mean by pressure groups? A new term for you. Pressure group formed by people of common interest. Keyword common interest. For example, workers हैं. Workers का कोई common interest होगा वहाँ factory में काम करने में. So they are people of common interest. These groups take action to change or influence business decisions or government policies. They take action to either change or influence, that is affecting in some way business decisions or government policies. Learn as it is pressure group meaning. Now, what actions can pressure groups take? Just giving examples. They can hold public meetings to make people aware of the issue and find appropriate solution of their problem. So they can hold public meetings. सिर्फ यहाँ तक knowledge part है, उसके आगे explain करो. To hold public meetings to make people aware of issue and find appropriate solution. Second point, protest or demonstration to get notice. To get notice मतलब अब ध्यान अपनी तरफ लाना. To get notice of the issue, that what is the problem we are facing. For that we are doing a protest or demonstration to get notice to the issue and try to find a appropriate solution. Business whose notice they want, whose attention they want to grab. Business owners and government. You can face a question like this in form of case study. Do you think a business can be both ethical and profitable at the same time? So you have to answer in favor, against, and then give your conclusion. So in favor, what points can you write in favor? Some workers and investors. कौन सी दो parties के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं? Workers and investors want to work for an ethical business only. They want to be part of a business which is ethical. Who? Workers and investors. It is easy to attract and retain workers. So workers also want to join a business which is ethical. So it is easy to attract workers. Then it is also easy to retain workers. That is, the people who have already joined in will stay with your company. That is, retain workers. It is convenient to raise capital due to goodwill business carries. Goodwill is the name and reputation of your business. Since you are ethical, you hold a good goodwill. That is an asset, intangible asset of your company. So you have good goodwill or good reputation. So it is convenient or easy to raise capital due to goodwill your business carries. All explanation should be forming part of your answer. Next point. Some customers want ethical goods. For example, you go and buy vegetables. Now you don't want vegetables grown in chemical. You want organic vegetables. So ethical business, growing organic vegetables, and for that you're okay to pay more. So some customers want ethical goods and are willing to pay more to offset high cost. Now growing organic vegetables will be expensive, so you will be incurring high cost. but customers are ready to pay more for such ethical business. They are willing to pay more, so that will offset high costs. Next, ethical business has less risk of legal action. You are doing ethical business, why will government come and impose any fine or penalty on you? It won't. So ethical business has less risk of legal action. To avoid fines and legal issues, since your business is working ethically, you will face less or no legal issues, less or no fines. Now against it, being ethical increases cost. Ethical होने का drawback is it increases cost. Example, paying fair wages to workers and buying good quality raw material. That how will you become ethical? You will pay fair wages, you will buy raw material of good quality. That will increase your variable cost. When your variable costs will increase, your profit margin might fall. So your products might become expensive as compared to your competitors. But to sum up, in long run, being ethical pays off because of all these plus points. Starting with a new topic on BS, business activity and environment. Main objective of business activity. See, why is a human doing business activity? To satisfy customers' demand for goods and services. First aim is to satisfy customers' demand for goods and services, and by this procedure earning profit. So what is the impact on environment? So these keywords you need to remember when you are addressing such question. Pollution. One problem that environment faces is pollution. Just don't stop writing pollution. Explain. Pollution reduces air quality. Emissions. Emissions like aeroplane emits certain gases. So that is emissions damage the atmosphere and its outer layer. Waste disposal. Waste disposal. The factories you see dispose their waste in rivers and seas that pollute rivers and seas. Transport of goods. You see that vehicles like trucks, etc., heavy vehicles are used for transport of goods and services. Transport of goods only. So that burns fossil fuels. Create carbon emissions and thus reduces the quantity of oxygen in the environment. Global warming. Now all these will happen. Pollution, emission, waste disposal, transport of goods, burning fossil fuels, creating carbon emissions. These all are words to be used in your answer. So that will lead to global warming and climate change. So because of all this, there will be lack of pure air and clean water, which are necessary for healthy living. There is a case study focusing on what is business aim. If it is purely profit and environment is secondary, then what will be the outcome? Or the business firm should also focus on environment. So if the business aim is pure profit and not environment, then how will the firm think? Protecting environment can be expensive. Protecting the environment, there may be machines who are emitting lot of pollution, lot of carbon dioxide. So you will have to replace it with good machines which cause less pollution. So protecting environment can be expensive. Disposing the waste might also be expensive in a better way. Reduce. 3 keywords. Reduce, recycle, reuse involves money. To reduce, recycle and reuse the waste, it involves money. When extra money is invested, that can reduce profits. The profits will come down. Okay, once the profits will come down, what will happen to the commodities prices, the goods in which you are dealing? You will have to quote high prices for your own goods because you are doing waste management here. So high prices of goods, consumers buy less. Consumer will buy less because, or they will shift to some other commodities. High prices of goods, added expenditure of government to clean it up, because your organization is not cleaning your own created mess. Government will have to get that clean, and it will be an added expenditure to the government. So recap, keywords: reduce, recycle, reuse involves money or cost, reduces your profit. In a case study, the argument is business should aim only for profit, not environment. So what will be the arguments against this statement? See, because business polluting the environment, they add up to global warming and pollution. So now coming the keyword, it is social responsibility of business to reduce these problems. Already the world is facing global warming and pollution. So it is the social responsibility of the business to reduce these problems. At least don't add up to these problems using scarce natural resources like timber or water in the rivers. So using scarce natural resources, they are non-renewable, means you can't generate these resources. They are naturally made, you can't generate them, resulting in leaving less for future generations. If you only you use all these resources, then what will we leave for future generations? They will be left with less of these natural resources. Consumers becoming socially aware. So nowadays what is happening is consumers are becoming socially aware. They are demanding environment friendly products, and so it is okay for them to pay more. They are demanding environment friendly products. Pressure groups can take action if you are polluting the environment against your firm. So again, one keyword, pressure groups can create a problem for your firm if you are polluting the environment and adding up to global warming. And your firm's reputation is also at stake. So harm of firm's reputation, because you are polluting the environment. So it is better to reduce, recycle and reuse and save the environment, even if it is adding up little cost to your organization and reducing a little profits. For long run, reduce, recycle, reuse. Let's learn about externalities. Consequences of industrial or commercial activity. Activity कौन कर रहा है? Industries. Okay, it is consequence of industrial or commercial activity on the society. Effect किस पे पड़ रहा है? Society पे. So consequence of industrial or commercial activity on the society other than business itself. Other than business itself. Okay, so activity, ये consequence है commercial activity का society पे, खुद पे नहीं, society पे यदि जो effect है उसको हम externality बोलते हैं. External cost. What are external cost? Pollution, smoke. Due to pollution and smoke, people face health problems. They are not even working in that industry. People who are living nearby are facing health problems. Local residents suffer Due to these externalities, because of smoke and pollution, local residents are suffering, they are facing health problems. So these are external costs. Then what are external benefits? Because there is an industry in your nearby area, people living in that area will get jobs. So jobs are created, there are chances they will get jobs. So jobs are created, firms produce goods and services needed by the society, and factories pay taxes. They are producing goods and services, they are earning, so they will pay tax. Government can spend more on social projects because government is earning through those taxes. So government has money to spend on social projects like hospitals, schools, etc. Learning sustainable development, trying to achieve economic growth but without damaging the environment and society for future generations. That is, you are preserving the resources, you are not damaging the current resources and leaving them for future generations also. Although you want to achieve economic growth, but either you are not harming or you are harming the environment at the least possible. Okay? So how will you achieve sustainable development? Use renewable energy. What is renewable energy? Like tidal energy, solar power, solar energy, they are renewable energy forms, and a producer should look for sources of renewable energy. Recycle waste. Instead of disposing the waste directly in river and seas, recycle the waste. See, I was reading in newspaper that we are using plastics and somebody has come out with cornstarch plastics that is easily dissoluble in water. So that is a way we are trying to find out ways in which we stop or we reduce polluting the environment. So develop new environment friendly products. Now this cornstarch plastic is an example of environment friendly products. Develop new environment friendly products and production methods. Use minimum quantity of resources. Make your production process more efficient and effective. Use minimum quantity resources. Example is, lean production is a method where you use minimum quantity of resources efficiently and try to optimize your production. So sustainable development, you achieve economic growth but without damaging the environment and leaving the resources for future generations. What do you mean by globalization? So increase worldwide trade, not only restricted to your nation but worldwide trade, movement of what? Capital, people and products between countries. So globalization is worldwide trade is increasing, movement of capital, people and products between the countries. Now what is free trade agreement? Countries agree to trade, that is import or export, with no barriers such as tariffs and quotas. Matlab, people are sending goods outside the country, that is exporting, getting goods in the country from other countries, that is importing, without any barriers or restrictions such as tariffs or taxes on such imports, and quotas, that is a limit to which you can import or export. So there are no barriers such as tariff or quotas, and you freely export and import among various countries. Important concept, exchange rate. Let's understand what is exchange rate. Price of one currency in terms of another. Price of one currency in terms of another is known as exchange rate. For example, you are going to America. So you are traveling there, you will need dollar. Indian rupees won't work. So you will have to convert your home currency into their currency so that you can manage your expenses over there. So example, $1 is equal to 70 rupees. One currency in terms of another is known as exchange rate. How is exchange rate determined? So how is exchange rate determined? Either forces of demand and supply in global currency market, that is called as floating rate. How much your currency is demanded and how much other currency is demanded. How much your currency is supplied, how much their currency is supplied. So if this is DD demand curve and this is SS supply curve, they meet here. This point is called as equilibrium point, and at this rate, the price will be determined. So that demand and supply forces when applied, and through those demand and supply forces, whatever comes the equilibrium, when that rate is followed, it is called as floating rate. Forces of demand and supply in global currency market. Another one is fixed rate, fixed by the governments. So fixed rate is fixed by the governments, and floating rate fixed by forces of demand and supply in global currency markets. We have understood what you mean by exchange rate. Now we will understand devaluation of currency and depreciation of currency. In normal layman's language, they are treated as the same. The effect is also same, but there is a little difference. Devaluation of currency, value of currency falls. In depreciation of currency also, value of currency falls. Then what is the difference? In fixed exchange rate, if under fixed exchange rate, the value of currency is falling, it is called as devaluation of currency. Fixed by whom? Fixed by the government. Now what is depreciation of currency? Value of currency falls in floating exchange rate. What is floating exchange rate? When the demand and supply factors are applicable, and through the forces of demand and supply factors, when value of currency falls, it is called as floating exchange rate. Both devaluation and depreciation have same effect, fall in value of currency. It makes imports more expensive and exports more competitive. See how? This is a very important line. Effect of devaluation or depreciation of currency. Making imports more expensive and exports more competitive. Let's take an example. You are importing oil from other countries. So if $1 is 100 rupees and now it changes $1 to 120 rupees. So earlier you need to get foreign currency. So earlier to get $1 you needed to pay 100 rupees. But now to get $1 you have to pay 120 rupees. So imports more expensive now, but exports more competitive. For example, you are exporting tea from India. So if if they give you $1, you give them 100 rupees worth of tea to them. But now $1 is rupees 120. So now if they give you $1, you have to give them tea worth rupees 120. So exports become more competitive. People will come to your country and buy goods, because for them, when they buy from your country, that time they will get more by giving $1 only. Now they will get goods worth rupees 120, and earlier they were getting goods of rupees 100 only. So this is about devaluation and depreciation of currency. We had read about currency depreciation. Now we'll read about currency appreciation. It occurs when the value of currency rises. जब currency की value बढ़ जाए, that is currency appreciation. It buys more of another currency than before. पहले से ज़्यादा दूसरी currency मिल रही है. How? I will explain. Earlier, $1 was 100 rupees. So पहले $1 100 रुपीस का था. करेंसी अप्रिशिएट हुई तो $1 रुपीस 80 हो गया. तो कई लोग इसको ऐसे सोच रहे होंगे कि 100 का 80 हुआ तो डेप्रिशिएट हुआ है ना, अप्रिशिएट नहीं. बट इट गोज द रिवर्स वे. आई विल एक्सप्लेन हाउ. व्हेन करेंसी अप्रिशिएट्स इट मेक्स इंपोर्ट्स चीपर. हाउ आर इंपोर्ट्स चीपर? पहले यदि मुझे दूसरी, आई एम इंडिया, सो पहले मुझे किसी और कंट्री से यदि इंपोर्ट करना था तो मुझे 100 रुपीस देने पड़ते थे, तो मुझे $1 का सामान मिलता था. बट अभी मैं 80 रुपीस देके ही $1 जितना सामान दूसरी कंट्री से ले सकती हूँ. सो इंपोर्ट्स हैव बिकम चीपर बिकॉज पहले $1 rupees 100, अभी $1 80, and exports have become expensive. How exports have become expensive? मतलब 100 रुपीस का $1, मैं 100 रुपीस जितना सामान दूंगी तो मुझे $1 मिलेगा. 80 रुपीस का सामान दूंगी, अभी नाउ चेंज हो गया, तो 80 रुपीस का सामान दूंगी तो $1 मिलेगा. तो एक्सपोर्ट्स तो एक्सपेंसिव हो गया ना. और दूसरी कंट्री के लोगों को पहले $1 में 100 जितना सामान मिल रहा था, अभी $1 में 80 रुपीस जितना ही सामान मिलेगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यदि आसाम टी $1 देके वो लोग 100 रुपीस की टी ले रहे थे, अब वो $1 देंगे तो उनको सिर्फ 80 रुपीस की ही टी मिलेगी, 20 रुपीस लेस. So exports have become expensive. That is why some governments, just to attract people to buy from their country, they depreciate instead of appreciation. Currency depreciation कर देते हैं, वापस appreciate नहीं करते, so that the people are tempted to buy from your country. That is very important, that people come to your country and buy your resources. Like for India, we export tea, we export cashew nuts, fruits. Okay, so if our currency is depreciating, the people of other country will be tempted to buy from our country, क्योंकि हमारी country फिर उनको cheaper लगेगी इसके लिए. So go through this video once again for better understanding of the concept.